So today, February 2nd, we celebrate the presentation. So it's a very unique to have it fall on a Sunday. Normally we celebrate this feast in the middle of the week, and sometimes it gets lost on us. But this is actually the day when the church blesses all of the candles for the year. You're like, why did you choose February 2nd? Well, as we heard in the gospel, Jesus, baby Jesus, was brought to the temple by Mary and Joseph, like the capital of the church. And so they bring him there 40 days after he was born. I don't want you to pull out your phones, but if you count, December 25th was 40 days ago. Yes, you've had your gifts for 40 days. And so today was the day when they would go to the temple and the firstborn son would be presented to God. That's what the law asked them to do in the Jewish faith. And so Mary and Joseph did that. And as we heard, this old man, Simeon, he sees this child. God had promised him, you will see the Savior before you die. And when he sees this little baby, Jesus, he immediately recognized, that's God. That's the Savior of the world. I can go in peace, just as you said, Lord. You're like, what does that have to do with candles? Did you notice in the last sentence, he said, this child will be a light to the Gentiles and the glory of the people Israel. Light. That moment, he said, Jesus is the light. So that's why today we bless the candles. Now, if you've ever wondered, why are there candles all over our church? Can we not afford electricity? What's the deal with that? Thank you for your pity laugh. There are three things that I want to mention as to why we have candles in church. The first is this. Before electricity, 100-some years ago, this actually was the way that we kept things lit. The way that you could see was by the light of a fire. And so there's something to that. Fire helps us light our way. Number two, if you've ever been camping and you don't camp luxuriously, what keeps you warm when it's chilly? You start a fire. That's how it works. And so there's also heat that comes from there. There's a warmth that comes from the candle. So that's number two. We have light, warmth, and the last one, I would say purifying. Fire purifies. If you have ever been to the Boundary Waters, you don't just scoop up, maybe you do, but I don't. You don't just scoop up the water and take a swig out of the lake. You boil that stuff. Why? Because it kills the bacteria in there. Fire purifies. So why do we have candles in church? Well, in some ways, the church is trying to tell us something. Jesus represents those three things. He's the light of the world. In your life, maybe even today, what are the moments of darkness that you experience? What are the areas in your life where you could use light and guidance? I'm thinking here, maybe there's a big decision you need to make, and you're looking for light to guide you. Maybe you lost your job, and you're looking for the light of Christ to point you in the way to go. We all have areas of darkness, and Jesus is the light. Secondly, as we just said, warmth. Well, warmth, when you think about that, the closeness, warmth, love. And that's not a cheesy thing. You know, I think sometimes we hear that and we're like, love, No. Did you know that an infant, even if you feed the infant and you give it water and everything it needs to survive, if it's not held, it's going to die. Did you know that? If that child does not receive the warmth of love of another human being, that child will not live. It's almost like it's hardwired into you and me. We are looking for love at every turn, every corner. And what does Jesus, the light of the world, offer us? To light up our darkness and the warmth of His love. Deep down, that's what we're all looking for. It takes many different forms in where we look for it, but it's God Himself. That is what we're looking for, the warmth of His love. And then number three, purifying. Think about when you get close to Jesus. When all of a sudden His priorities become your priorities. All of a sudden the things that don't actually lead to that warmth, that love, start to fade away. Just like that water, it starts to boil out some of the imperfections in us. The things that actually make us unhappy, And then we can see where God's working around us. So Jesus does those three things. Now, I have a baptismal candle here, so hopefully Teresa Burdick doesn't mind. I just robbed her cabinet in there. But if you've ever been to a baptism, no, I'm not losing my mind. If you've ever been to a baptism, you will have seen this candle in the back here. This big candle, the Easter candle. There's a new one every Easter Vigil. It says 2024 on it. We're going to get a new one in a couple months here for the Easter Vigil. This big candle represents Jesus, the light of the world. And if you've ever been to a baptism, you'll notice that little baby or that adult, whoever it is that's being baptized, is given a candle lit from where? That one. Now let's try this again. If you're not close to him, try lighting your candle. Maybe I need Shirley's help. If you're not close to the source, if we're not close to Jesus, that light is not going to impact you. It is not going to reach you. This is you, that's Jesus. We need daily to be in contact with the light of the world. That's what lights our candle. That's what allows us, our way, to be lit so that we can see clearly. That's what allows our weaknesses to be purified, and this is the warmth of the love. Don't touch it. Finally, when you are, see how well trained they are, they just stood up on command. When you have your candle lit, and all of a sudden, you're with other people, have you ever had those experiences in life? Oh my gosh, mine just went out. That wasn't supposed to happen. Have you ever had those experiences in life? Maybe it's a good friend or something, but I've drawn close to Jesus, or someone in my life I know is close to Jesus, and then all of a sudden you spend time with them, and it's like I was just with the Lord for an hour. Like they're beaming with joy, and when I leave them, I want to be a better person, you know? That's what we need to be to other people. We need to go to that source every day. Go to the light. So close that it sets us on fire, not literally. And then with the people in our life, they need to receive this flame. I'm sure you can think of 10 people off the top of your head in your life that are looking for love right now. They need that flame. They need God to light their way. They need God to warm them with His love and purify them of those things that make us unhappy. And so today, let's draw close. You're about to get as close to the flame as you can in Holy Communion. Let's ask Him to set us on fire with love so that we can share that with the world.